Welcome students. In today's session, we will learn arrays in C# programming. As we know, the array is nothing but it is a collection of homogeneous elements and which are identified or recognized by using the same name. Arrays can have different dimensions. Means we can declare or we can use the single dimensional array. We can use a multi-dimensional like two-dimensional arrays. And we can create arrays for different data types. We can have it for integers, we can have it for strings. Let us try to begin with how we can create or how we can declare the array for integer data types and with single dimension. Okay. As in syntax, the syntax goes like this. So we need to first provide the data type. Okay, what data type array we are going to declare or we are going to create. Then a pair of square brackets that indicates that we are going to create an array. Okay, and the pair of single brackets without any content in it specifies that it is a single dimensional array, followed by the name of the array. For example, consider the array name here as in syntax. Okay, so this particular statement will declare an array by the name, the specified array name, okay, of a corresponding data type what we have declared. For an example, suppose if we want to create an array for integer, then it will be int, a pair of empty brackets, square brackets, followed by say ARR. So what it means is that it just creates an array. It gives it says that ARR is an one dimensional or single dimensional array of integer data type. It will not allocate any memory. Okay, we need to understand the concepts here. First thing is that it will just create an array by the name ARR, right? It will just create an array. It will just give the name of the array is going to be ARR of the integer data type. That's it. If you want to initialize or if you want to say allocate the memory for this particular array, then we need to specify explicitly the number of elements this particular array requires. Okay, that can be done like this: ARR equal to new, and the type of the data is integer, and within a pair of brackets we need to specify the size of the array. Say if we want 5 elements in the array, then we have to specify it to be a int of 5. So this particular line, what it does that it creates a memory in the memory block to store 5 elements of integer data type, and all those 5 elements belong to the name ARR. Okay, so this statement, it allocates the memory for 5 elements. Now both the lines, the first line and single line, can be combined and it can be written like this. So we can write it like this: int, pair of brackets, ARR, let me take another variable name, ARR1 equals to new int, then within the bracket say 5. So this particular line, what it does that it creates an array and at the same time it allocates the memory. So this is create plus allocate memory for one dimensional integer array. Okay, so this is a shorthand notation. This is most widely used. If we want to use or if you want to create an array, then just create and initialize the memory, that is create the memory block. Okay, now as we know that array are zero indexed. Zero indexed means the first array element can be accessed from at the index 0. If an array contains n elements, then the last element can be accessed at n-1 index value. Okay, that's what we call it as a zero indexed array. Now suppose we have created an array here and allocated the memory. What if I want to know what data particular this array element contains? What are the value this particular array contains? Okay. So we just need to display the contents of these values. Okay, in order to do that, let us try to write a simple code here. Console dot write line. Okay, array elements are. Okay, so let us run through a for loop. For int I equal to 0, I less than, in this case it is a 5, then I plus plus. Okay, console dot write line, what we're going to display? We're going to display the array values. So name of the array is ARR and the index is I over here. That's the bracket. Now, if we run this particular program, it is going to display as array elements are 0, 0, 0, 0. You may notice that the array values with respect to those particular indexes, it is 0. Why 0? Because we have not initialized any of the value to the memory or to the elements of the array here. Okay, the purpose of demonstrating this particular, writing these particular lines are when we create the when we create an array and memory is allocated, by default each of the elements in the array will take the default values. It accepts the default values. So these default values will be with respect to the data type what we are using. Since in this case it is the integer array, so the default values are assigned with 0 here. Now, if you want to make the changes to these default values, then we have to initialize the array. Okay, in order to initialize the array, we can do it at the time of declaration, or we can do it at the later time. Say ARR1 equal to new int. Okay, I can specify here the number of size, that is 5, or I can exclude that one and I can just write within a pair of flower brackets the value, say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Close the bracket and semicolon. Okay. Now, since it is an array, I have to put a pair of brackets here. Okay. Now, this particular line, that is line number 13, is initialization. Initialization of array. Now, the default value which it has created with the 0, those zeros will get replaced with the value what we are giving it to the array here. So the first element, the first array element will be having 1 and the last element will be having 5 here. When we run through this particular program, we are going to get the values as, once again, the name of the array, we did not use it to be correct. Okay, here it is array 1. Okay, now when I run to this particular program, I'm going to get the values as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the array, since in this program we are using two arrays, array and ARR and ARR1. So earlier it was ARR. Okay, now you may notice here that for the first array which we have created, it is not been initialized. So when we print with this, that is ARR, we are going to get the output as zeros because it is not initialized with any other values. So default value it is taking. For the second array, that is ARR1, we have initialized with these user values, and when we make the modification in this program and execute, we are going to ARR of 1. We are going to get the values as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now this particular statement, that is line number 13, there is again one more alternative for that one. The alternative is that we can write something like this: ARR1 is equals to, okay, new. Okay, I will show you the other alternative where we can directly create, allocate memory as well as the initialize. Okay, let us make use of the another array here. Okay. So int ARR2 equals to, okay, directly I can type here 10, 20, 30, 40. Only 4 values I am typing. Let me have one more here, say 50 and semicolon. Now you may notice here this is the shortest method. Okay, so what we have done, we are creating an array. Okay, this type of creating an array and initializing the array is called as implicit initialization. So implicit initialization in the sense the number of values we provide within the pair of brackets. Okay, here it is a 5. So what the C# does is that it will allocate ARR to an integer array with 5 elements. Okay, and that 5, the number of count that is 5 here, it will implicitly understand based upon the number of values we have provided at the time of initialization. This is the another method of creating the arrays. So in this, what we can handle in this single statement, creating the array plus allocation, that is memory allocation plus initialization. So all the 3 steps can be done by writing a single statement. Now, when I run to the program, say this, since it is an array 2, I will make it to an array 2 and then run the program. We are going to get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Now, to just give an quick recap, the array can be created by writing a data type and a pair of square brackets followed by the name of the array. If we just want to create the array, then we have to give a semicolon. It just creates an array by the name specified over here of the specified data type. It doesn't allocate the memory. In order to allocate the memory, we need to write the statement, one more statement like this, or else a combined statement like this. So always remember that always the array memory for the array is created whenever we write the keyword new. The new will allocate the memory required for. So the meaning of this particular statement is like this. New means allocate the memory, okay, dynamically. So whatever this memory is there, this memory based upon the size we have provided. The size is 5. 5 memory locations are required of this particular integer data type, and that you allocate it for the variable. In this case, it is a array. So for the ARR1 array, you allocate 5 elements. Okay. Now, these 2 statements can be combined. This is the combined statement. Okay. And when we create and allocate the array, it will be having the array elements are having 0 values. That is default values. In order to initialize those elements with the user defined values, then we can initialize by writing the number of values within a pair of curly braces. So the default values will be taken out and the value what we have specified will be updated over there. And you may notice that we no need to provide the size when we are initializing here, because the C# compiler will try to get that value, that is size, based upon the number of elements we have provided here at the time of initialization. Okay. All these 3 things, that is creation of the array, memory allocation, and the initializations, can be done in a single line by just writing the statement like this. Int pair of brackets name of the array equal to within curly braces, pair of curly braces, the values. So these values will get initialized and the number of the size of the array will be taken by the number of elements written in the pair of brackets. Okay. Now let us go ahead with let us go ahead with the further step. What if we don't want to provide the elements, what we call it as a hard-coded elements? I don't want to provide the elements here, but rather I want to prompt user to enter the values. So in that case, how to handle those situations? Okay. Let us try to look into that. Let me clear off all these particular statements. So don't want these 2 lines removed. Then let us remove these lines. Let this be here since it is an array ARR. Okay. Now, fine. Now I'm creating an array by the name ARR and size is what? 5. So 5 size array I'm creating. Let us try to read the elements. Okay, the values for each of the array elements by asking user. Okay, now console dot write line we will display a message saying that enter 5 elements. Close the bracket. Okay. Now, since we are displaying message enter 5 elements, so we should read those particular 5 elements. In order to repeat through the reading the elements 5 times, we have to run the program for 5 iterations. So for int I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Okay. Then we need to read it. In order to read the value, we know the statement, corresponding statement is what? Console dot read line, right? But we have studied in previous session that the read line will return what? It will return a string value. That string has to be now converted into an integer value because the data type what we are reading is for an integer data type. So we should have the conversion here. So the conversion will be what? Let me use in this case simple int parse. So int dot parse I have to use, and within this int dot parse I will be writing the console.readline. Okay. Now, once we read that particular value and then it is converted into an integer, I have to store that into an variable. So that variable here is going to be the array elements. So it will be ARR of I. Okay. Now, how it works, let us try to understand. So initially, I is equals to 0. Okay. For I is equals to 0, I less than 5. So is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is true. Then ARR of 0, array of 0 means the first element. What has to be done? This statement has to be executed. What I have here, int dot parse, and within that there is a console dot readline. So this console dot readline will get executed first. Okay, so what this console dot readline will do? It will read a content which has been entered by the user. Okay, suppose if I type 25, that 25 will be read as the string, as a string value. That 25 string value, now I have to convert it into an integer. So that 25 string will be converted into the integer 25 by the int dot parse method. And that 25, the integer value, will get updated into the ARR of 0. That is first element in the array. Okay. Then I plus plus will do, that is I will be incremented to 1. Then the again condition will be checked, that is 1 less than 5. So condition 1 less than 5 condition is true. Then the next set of statement, it will get repeated. So 5 times this particular statement will get executed, and it will read, it will allow the user to enter 5 values of the integer, and those integers will be converted, that is string values will be converted to an integer, then get stored into the array. And then the next statements are this one. So console.writeLine, that is display the saying that array elements are, okay. Then again the same concept, the for loop will be run for 5 times, and this time we are going to just display the contents of the array here. Let us go ahead and run the program. Enter 5 elements, say 10, 15, 6, 20, okay, then 100. Now, so it allowed us to enter the 5 values. Is the 10, actually the 10 what we entered, it was treated or it was retrieved as a string value, and that string was converted to the integer by the int parse, int dot parse, and then it gets assigned into the first array element. Like that 5 times we could be able to enter the values, those are converted to integer, and then we could able to display the values here. Okay. Yes. So, okay. Let us try to declare, create an array for strings as well. Okay. Say, let me remove these lines, and now I want to create an array for the, say, let me take an example of weekdays. Okay. Say string array, okay, days equals to new string. The size is say 7. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm creating an array of this type string, that is days, and new string 7 means it will be having 7 values there. Okay. Now let us try to read those particular values and then display it. Okay. Console dot write line, enter the days, enter the more precisely week days. Okay, for int I equals to 0, I less than, okay, the size is here 7, I plus plus. Okay, then days of I equals to console dot read line. Okay, console dot read line. You may notice here that I'm not converting the contents what I'm reading to an integer, because the array is a string array, so we need the data in a string format itself. Okay. Let us display those back onto the console. Console dot write line. Okay. The week days are for int I equals to 0, I less than 7, okay, I plus plus, console dot write line arr of, sorry, not arr, it is a days of I. Run the program. Enter the weekdays. Okay, let us begin the week with an holiday. Okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay, as simple as that. So we can have the array of a string also. Now let us try to understand one more concept here. Now instead of writing a 7 here, see in the initial stage I entered a 7. Okay, now I can get rid of this number also. Okay, I can write something different here. I can get the length of the string. Okay, the length of the string can be retrieved by writing the name of the array, that is days dot length, L-E-N-T-H. So this particular days dot length will give us the length, that is the number of elements stored in this particular array. Okay, same way here also I can write days dot length. So what this length will give? Length will give us back the number of elements which are part of this particular array here. So when we run this particular program, we are going to get the same set of values, right? Enter the weekdays. Say suppose this time I'm going to enter a few numbers. Okay, say this time let us start with the Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Let us have only 6. Let us go ahead and enter one more also. Then Sunday. So we are going to get the values like this. I hope students the concepts are understood here, how we can create the arrays, how we can allocate the memory for the arrays, and initialization, and then accessing the array.